Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Bolo Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand Bhagwan Ji ki. So there should be a class now. Normally on Bhagavad Gita.
You give the class? Yeah, okay, he's here.
Prabhuji is giving class. Prabhuji, what's your name? Krishna Lila Prabhu is going to be giving a class now. So we will probably need to be facing this way because we'll have Vyasasan in the center. And maybe if somebody else could help Prabhuji to bring the Vyasasan here. Thank you so much.
Vyasas are normally for senior devotees, someone who's practiced for change the mic. Yeah, we'll just use it. Oh, he's
No.
Okay, so I'm with you so that people can also see what you are reading.
Perfect, thank you so much.
It's chapter 2.5.
359. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. That's perfect. Chapter 2, text 59. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. So we'll now have our Sunday evening Bhagavad Gita class. My name is Krishna Lila Dāsa, and we begin always by singing this song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jaya Radha Madhava, which is different names of Krishna. And it's said that this song is so beautiful because these names of Krishna describe his different qualities, and they're just like windows into the divine spiritual world. So I wonder, is there the word somewhere where you can follow? Is it possible to have Jaya Radha Madhava on the screen as well? Jaya Radha Madhava, is it possible? Okay. Okay. Okay, well, you'll be able to catch on, I'm sure. Excuse me. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Your turn. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janna Vallabha Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, ma'am. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So I would invite you all to come forward if you can, so that there's space for more guests to come in. I promise I have showered and I don't smell and I'm vegetarian. So welcome everyone. This evening and every evening in this wonderful temple, we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita. There are more than 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita, and each and every one of them we can discourse for hours and hours. And uncover spiritual wisdom. So, today we'll be reading from chapter 2, verse 59. So, chapter 2 is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. And just over here on the screens, you're going to be able to see the verse, so you can join in with me and follow along as I read the translation. So the Sanskrit is Vishaya vinivartante niharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishta nivartate. So the translation is, through the... Can we see the translation, please, on the screen? Wonderful. So we'll go section by section, and you can all repeat the translation to me, okay? So, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, you can read. Oh, please, if we can get the translation. Yeah. So, if you read that first line, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment. If you always read that for me, can you all recite? Can you all read? Great. The taste for sense object remains, but ceasing such engagements, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Wonderful, thank you all so much. So we're now going to read the purport, and this purport was written by our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And he tirelessly translated these Vedic texts, Vedic scriptures, to make them accessible for us. And you'll find that in these books, it's not just a translation and just some commentary. This is called Bhagavad Gita as it is, and he's given the meaning of each and every single word, each and every single Sanskrit word. So you can see and you can check, is Prabhupada's translation accurate? Is he giving unbiased translation? So it's such a painstaking work he's done for us, so that we may understand this Vedic knowledge better. So I'll read his commentary, his purport. Unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharan, dhyan, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are therefore the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So before we begin our discussion, we always like to take a moment to say our pranams to our teachers, our gurus. So if you're familiar with the pranam mantras, please follow along, and I'll recite them now. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, the Bhagavad Gita, who's familiar with this book? You must have all heard of Bhagavad Gita, no? Yes? Yes? It is one of the important Vedic scriptures because it's one that is very relevant to all of us in our daily lives. You know, many of the Vedic scriptures such as the Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Yaja, Sama, they give procedures and prayers on how to perform very complex rituals. And that's very nice, but it may not be relevant for us to develop spiritually. Because we're living in the real world, we have jobs, we have families, and we need a way to spiritualize our lives without overcomplicating it. So the Bhagavad Gita was spoken on a battlefield. On a battlefield, you're there to fight. You're not there to perform delicate and very complicated rituals. You're there to defend and protect. So the context in which the Gita was spoken is very relevant for us because in our daily lives, we often have to do things as a matter of urgency to look after our family, to protect our friends, to help someone that's dear to us. So the advice given in the Gita is very practical, very applicable in our daily lives. Yes, we may not be warriors fighting on a battlefield, but we're warriors in the sense of, we're doing our daily duties, and that itself can be very difficult. Sometimes each day is a struggle, just getting up in the morning, going to work, doing our daily things. That can be considered our, fight in a way. So, what is this verse saying? It's very, very interesting. So in essence, this verse is talking about, the key line is param drishtva nivartate, which means giving up the lower taste for that of the higher taste. So what does that mean? In our lives, we know that there are many things which we do for our pleasure. We may go to the cinema, we may, go drinking or do this or that. And we, may not even be so bad as that. We might just like to go to a restaurant with our family or something like that. And, these things bring us some level of happiness. But ultimately, it may not bring us closer to God. Right? So, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So material things don't always bring us everlasting happiness, right? The goal of Krishna consciousness. Okay, let's take it back a bit. Okay, so the context in which the Gita was spoken was a battlefield, right? So who's heard of Arjun? Great bowsman, great warrior. Yeah. He was a very, very powerful warrior. He was taught by the demigods, like Indra. He was taught by Parashuram, one of the greatest warriors that ever existed. And he could defeat any enemy. There was no one who could come before him, or very few that could come before him and challenge him. But he was standing at the battlefield, and he was with his chariot driver, who happened to be Shri Krishna, and he was feeling grief. He was feeling distraught. He was feeling weakness, because who did he see on the battlefield? He saw his family members. The Bhagavad Gita is set in the context of the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a great poem, a great history written by Srila Vyasadeva. And it tells a story of the Pandavas and the Kurus. They're actually from one family, they're relatives, they're brothers. And the Pandavas were meant to be inheriting the kingdom, but it was wrongfully usurped by the Kurus, their cousins. So, to cut a long story short, the Mahabharata is 200,000 verses. It's a very incredible story, and I encourage you to read that. But right in the middle, not in the middle, right at the culminating point is the great war between the two camps of brothers, the righteous brothers and the brothers who wrongfully stole the kingdom. And at this point, this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. And at that point, at the beginning of the battle, Arjun, this great warrior, Krishna has taken him on the chariot just through the middle to see the both sides of the army. And he's seeing both sides. And on one side, he's seeing his brothers, his blood brothers, the Pandavas. And on the opposing side, he's seeing his cousins, he's seeing his teachers even, he's seeing his grandfathers. And he's thinking, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight against my family. Even though he's such a great, powerful warrior, even though he knows he's fighting for the right reasons, to protect Dharma, to protect the goodness in society, he still feels this weakness. And it's explained that that weakness was there to show us so that we can relate. Because sometimes we face problems in life that also make us consider, do I really want to do this? So, that was at the point at which Arjun asked Krishna, his chariot driver, and the Supreme Lord, what should I do? And at that point where Arjun asked Krishna, then Krishna began speaking the Gita and began to describe this wonderful philosophy. So it starts with establishing the understanding between the soul and God. So we understand, who's heard of the soul, the Atma? Has everybody heard of this? Yeah. So the Atma is an eternal thing. And, when I say, who am I, right? I don't say, I'm this hand. I don't say, I'm these eyes, I'm these ears. I say, I'm me. But who is that me? Is it these gross material elements, or is it something deeper inside? So we recognize that to be the Atma. Hare Krishna. We recognize that to be the Atma. So the Atma is a spiritual spark. It is our essence. It is the soul. And the Atma cannot be destroyed by anything. It is living forever. So earlier in this chapter, it describes that the body takes birth, it grows old, it may develop some disease at some time in its life, and at the end, it passes away. But it's saying that the sages are not bewildered by this, because they're seeing it simply as a change of clothes. Because the body is a vehicle for us to perform our activities, for us to perform our karma, our different actions. So we utilize the body, but we don't identify with the body. So that is one of the tenets that Krishna described to Arjun as the basis of the philosophies of the Gita. So then, what is the point of the Bhagavad Gita? The point of Bhagavad Gita is to slowly establish the relationship between the soul and God. We understand that the soul is part and parcel of God. So the Lord is divine, and so is the soul. They're the same spiritual quality. But this God is very great and the soul is very small. So although they're the same, they're also separate. And the natural relationship between the soul and God is that of servitude. So we know in our lives, we're always serving something, we're always doing something, like we're always taking care of our families, serving, maybe our communities. There's a natural propensity for the person, the Atma, to serve, but that gets distracted. The original position is to serve God, so we have to slowly spiritualize our activities. So there's an example, and coming back to this verse, there was a thief. He was a compulsive thief. His whole life he was stealing. He just did it for fun. He couldn't help himself. Maybe he had bad friends when he was growing up, and he just couldn't help it. Any opportunity he would try to steal something. And as he got older, as he had bad experiences and different things happened in his life, he began to realize, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this stealing habit which I've developed in my life. I want to slowly give that up. So he decided, okay, I'm going to go on pilgrimage. I'm going to do some austerity. So he decides he's going to go with the Yatri party to Badrik Ashram. And so he's going. They're walking. And one night they're staying at one dharamshala. And everyone's bags are on one side of the room, and everybody's sleeping on the other side of the room, and they're in their bunk beds. And he sees that the bags are just there all alone, and that propensity to steal just awakens within him. And he's just like, oh, I really shouldn't, but I really want to just take something because, I just love doing it. So what he decides to do, he says, okay, I'm just going to take some things from these bags, so I'll put it back just so that I'm satisfied. So he does that. And then he tells everyone in the morning what he did because he felt very guilty. And that's, But this is to illustrate that sometimes when we have some bad habits or some bad tendencies, people try to atone in different ways. They try to do many different austerities or vrats or things like that, or even like prisoners go to jail. For example, criminals go to jail. But you see that when they come out of jail, for instance, they may commit the same crimes again. So the point is, what I'm trying to make is that that kind of atonement or austerity, it doesn't really deal with the root of the problem. Just because a criminal went to jail, for instance, it doesn't deal with the fact, with the sinful kind of desire which is rooted in his heart. Just by doing some prayers, it doesn't deal with the root of the problem. But then what can? And that thing is Krishna consciousness or like a connection to God, bhakti yoga. Yeah, 1 second. Yes. Okay, so we know that we're Atma, we know that we're the soul connected to God. Actually, at this point, is it okay if I ask if anyone is everyone with me, if everyone has any questions at this point? Anyone have any questions? It doesn't have to be about anything I've said, it can be about Gita or anything to do with the temple. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we'll continue then. So I'm just going to read this section again, okay? So, where are we? Yeah. So, but one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for less intelligent neophytes in spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is naturally Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So there's an example of is called, there are two processes in the Vedas. One is called Anartha Nivritti, and one is called Artha Pravritti. They sound very similar. So one is compared to, imagine if you have a cup of milk. This is the example that's given. And, you have a cup of milk, excuse me, I just need to think of it clearly. Okay, so imagine you have a cup of poison. So Anartha Nivritti is compared to scooping the poison out with a spoon to empty the cup. So which is one process, which is the comparison here with like all these different processes like niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, etc. Artha Pravritti means, like, imagine you have a cup of poison, but you keep pouring milk in until there's no more poison. So it's like positive reinforcement. So so this verse is saying that there are many things which you can do, like if you're trying to progress in your spiritual life. Like in the beginning, you may have to have many restrictions and may have to be very strict. But eventually, you're going to, as you develop a taste for Krishna consciousness, then those restrictions don't become they're not very difficult. Following the good path becomes very easy. Yeah. Yeah. So there was, I can tell one story about, okay, so there was once a king, actually there was once a very great devotee, a sannyasi, and he was very, very elevated, extremely elevated. And he decided, one thing that he would do is he would feed all the Vaishnavas, he would feed all the Brahmins, Krishna Prasad. That was one of these great sevas that he would do. And on this particular occasion, many, many people had come, and he wanted to serve them very, very opulently, very wonderfully. And he would do it with so much love and devotion. But many more people had come, and he had run out of resources. He had run out of ingredients, and he needed to buy more. And he had no more money. So he was thinking, what should I do? What should I do? As he was walking around, he walked past a cemetery. And he saw that, there's the tomb of a princess. And he could see something glittering there. And he saw, the princess's jewelry is there. Like, okay, I mean, she's passed away now. What use could she have for this jewelry? Maybe I can use it and, sell it and buy some ingredients and, do something very pious with this. So that's what he was thinking. And he walked up to it. And just as he was about to grab the jewelry, a voice came and said, please don't take my jewelry. The princess spoke to him, who had deceased. Instead, go to my father, the king, and tell him that under my bed there's a great treasure, and he'll certainly give you some, and you can do whatever you were initially going to do to serve the Brahmins. So he said, okay. And he went to the king, and he told the king what he had heard, that his daughter, who had passed away, had given him this message. And the king looked under her bed, and indeed he saw that there was a great treasure. And he was very, very happy about that. And as promised, he did give the sannyasi a large portion of that so that he could use it to feed the Brahmins, which he did, and he was very happy. But again, more people came, and he had run out of resources again. So he thought, okay, let me just take that princess's jewelry. Like, certainly she'll be happy if I use it to serve the Brahmins and Vaishnavas. So he did that. And as he took it, the princess cursed him. He said that, okay, Hare Krishna, as you've taken this now, I curse you that in your next life you'll have to live a very immoral life. And he was very shocked. But that's what happened. So then in his next life he was the son of a great merchant, and although it was a very pious family, he did become very immoral, and he became very attached to one prostitute, so much so that even on the day of his father's funeral, he swam across a river holding on to a dead body and did so many abominable things just to see this prostitute. And then in the end, the prostitute told him in disgust, like, "You've done all these things, but if you had just shown the same attachment that you have to me, to the Supreme Lord, you'd be a very great soul." So that struck a chord in his heart, because in his previous life he was a great devotee. So then he left his life. He became a renunciate. And he said, okay, Vrindavan is a holy place. I'm going to try and go to Vrindavan. In those days, people would walk. This is a true story of a saint about 700 years ago. In those days, holy people would walk around. They wouldn't. They would refuse to use any mode of transport, such as even like a bullock cart or cycle or whatever. So he said, "Okay, I'll walk to Vrindavan." And in those days, that may have taken him many months. And on the way, he saw a very beautiful woman in the marketplace, and he decided to follow her home. And her husband was there, and he said, "Oh, sage, please come and take prasadam in my home." He invited him. And he said, as was the culture back then, "Is there anything I can do for you? Anything that you ask, anything, I'll give to you." And the integrity in those days was so strong that literally anything they would ask, they would have to give. So he said, very outrageously, he said, "I find your wife very beautiful. Can I please spend a few moments with her?" And the man was shocked, but he said, "Okay, I've given you my word. I'll make the arrangements." So then he made the arrangements, and they went in another room together. And this person, he thought for a second, "What am I doing? Am I really doing this? I've renounced my life. I had a very rich life. I've given everything up because of my heinous activities. And now I'm about to do the same things again. Do I have no culture?" So he said to the wife of the Brahmin, "Please give me these hairpins in your hair." And she was like, "Okay." And he took these hairpins and he plucked his eyes out. He was so shocked at his own behavior that he did something very, very outrageous like that. So then he became blind. And then he continued to his journey to Vrindavan blind. And eventually he got there somehow. It must have been very, very difficult. But that was his austerity, because he was so guilty of his actions. And careful. And then once he got there, he was a poet, so he would make many poems. He would write many beautiful poems, and he would just recite them to himself. And he would say, "I'm feeling so much happiness in this holy land of Vrindavan." And then one day, one cowherd village boy, he came to him, he said, "Oh Baba, I see you're here by yourself. I see that you're blind. I brought some milk from our village to give to you." And like this, every day, this boy would bring milk for him and help him perform some of his daily tasks. And slowly, he became very attached to this boy. And eventually he realized that this boy was none other than Shri Krishna, who was coming and taking care of him. So this saint's name was Bilva Mangal Thakur, and he wrote many wonderful, wonderful books, actually, many wonderful poems. And so his determination allowed him to give up his lower tendencies. And that's connected to this verse. So that brings me to the end of the discussion today. Today is also a very special day in the Vedic calendar. It's Vasant Panchami. Vasant Panchami is the first day of spring. And you can see Radha Gokulananda, Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman, they're wearing yellow. So generally in India, everyone wears yellow today, we know. And it's a very wonderful day. It was such a nice day today, wasn't it? Like after a long winter. So yeah, it's a very special day today, and there's going to be wonderful kirtan happening. There's going to be Gaur Arti in 10 minutes. But until then, I would like to encourage you to please ask any questions that you have about Bhagavad Gita, and we can see if we can like have a little discussion. Please, anyone, any questions? It could be about anything. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Very good question. So I think that it's very important not to do anything drastic, because then you can't maintain it over time, right? It's very difficult to maintain. You have to do something which you can maintain. So it could be something, just adding one simple thing, like, okay, for your spiritual life, you could maybe chant the Maha Mantra for 10 minutes every day, and that can be a starting point. And then you try to arrange your life in such a way that you're able to do what you need to do, yet at the same time be mindful, be conscious, and be in a sattvic way. Obviously, if you go and look in the Vedic scriptures, there's many things that it says that we should do, but many of those things are not practical. But the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita, that we have to simply try to love Krishna, love God, and surrender to God. And that means the practical form of that is to do some seva, and that could be as simple as when you have your evening meal, you offer your evening meal to Krishna. You say you put a picture of Krishna in a clean place. You put the freshly prepared food in front of Krishna, and you say a prayer, Krishna, please accept this, and then you wait a few minutes, and then together as a family you honor the prasadam as remnants. So that's a very simple way to elevate your life. Or like I said, you do some chanting for 10 minutes every day. You do what you can manage, and you can slowly increase as you build a taste for it. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Anyone has any questions? It can be about the Gita or anything. Yes, thank you. Yes. Can you say the verse number again? 65 in chapter 2. Okay. So for one thus satisfying Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence are no longer in such. So you're asking, how is that the miseries are no more? Right. Yeah. So asking about this verse, text 65. For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence are no longer. In such a satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam it said, there's the example of Prahlad Maharaj, and he's saying that you can put me in heaven or in hell, I don't mind. As long as I can serve you, my Lord, I will be happy. So this is talking about someone who's established in Krishna consciousness, who's connected in the relationship with God. That because the nature of this world, it will keep moving. The nature of time is deterioration. Things will keep changing and adapting, and the world will keep moving. But for one who's fixed in their relationship with God, in service, then they're not disturbed by these things. They can be in a very peaceful situation or a very turbulent situation, and they're not affected because inside they're fixed in their mood of service. Is that kind of... Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So, there's a part of the Gita where Krishna says
Yeah.
that basically when evil comes, it comes for a short time and passes, bad times come and go.
Right.
For a lot of us and a lot of circumstances, we find that those bad times tend to persist for much longer
Right.
than we think they should. How do we interpret that verse from the Gita?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know that the stars in the sky are always moving, and there's always different astrological periods going on. And yeah, bad times come and go for sure. And good times also come and go. But for us, we have to always find, okay, first thing we can check is, is there something that I need to learn? Because if one is always in a learning mentality, if one is always seeking to improve themselves and learn lessons from their circumstances, then actually every situation becomes a blissful experience, because you're just improving. You're just okay, this obstacle is here. Okay, I'm learning. And if one is always grateful to God, then one of our great teachers, he said, if Krishna provides Hari Bol, if he doesn't provide Hari Bol, we're just grateful for everything that we have, and So yeah, okay. Any questions? We have a few minutes left. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure to be here with all of you, and Kirtan will resume now, and there'll be Arti in 5 minutes, and there'll be Kirtan throughout the evening. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vandeham Sri Guru.
They're getting better, man.
जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद श्री राधे जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद श्री राधे राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद राधा गोकुलानंद श्री राधे जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय की जय जय गौरा चंदे आरती को शोभा जय जय गौरा चंदे आरती को शोभा जानवी तटवानी जग मन लोभा जानवी तटवानी जग मन लोभा दक्षिणे निताय चार वामे गदाधार निकटे